Hi, welcome back. Um, I am back from my trip in Morocco. I'm back home, um, and I've had a great trip, and I loved seeing all the likes, views, and reactions on my last video. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect so much positive reactions on YouTube. Positive reactions on Reddit. I got um, a few less positive reactions, but that's okay. But it really inspired me to make another video and to start making more videos even before I'm fully recovered, because I see that it can be very valuable for others if I already share what has helped me and what is still helping me in the process. So today I wanted to make a video about what I would do if I would start with this approach right now. If I would just have seen some videos maybe from my last video or read an Eagles video, what would I do if I would be set back right now? Um, uh, and I think the first shift starts with knowing that you can recover and knowing this deeply, because you can know it intellectually, like, yeah, there are people who recover, but there's difference in just really knowing, like, I can recover. It's possible for everyone. That is, I think, the first shift that will really make a difference, because a lot of people, they especially if you've been on the forums for long, you have a belief that you can't recover, that there's no way out from this. It's just waiting for some kind of treatment or medicine. And having that shift really changes a lot in your day-to-day mood, but also in the way you view the rest of your recovery journey. It was, for me, the really big shift. And it wasn't like this a shift. It took time. It started with watching recovery stories and, like, there really are people who are recovering, and more it started to add on to each other. And then it eventually was like, okay, why not me? Well, I could recover as well. That's great. And still, for a long time, the belief keeps sticking that maybe I'm different, maybe I can't recover, maybe something is different with me. So it will take a long time, but starting with shifting this belief is crucial. And for me, what was most helpful was just watching other recovery stories, just watching them and having an open mind. So there's a big tendency to try to look at the negative side, like, his story isn't completely the same as mine, and he was less severe than my case, or that's just a trick of the mind. And just try to stay open and see, like, oh, this person recovered, even this person recovered who was, like, maybe sick for 30 years. I remember a story on Red and Eagles channel, of a woman who was sick for 30 years. People who were more severe than me. There are stories of all cases, but no one's going to be completely the same as your case. So try to keep that in mind. The second step would be to work with the fear around the symptoms. I think it's crucial that, there's a lot of conditioning in the beginning that the symptoms are bad and should be avoided. You should be pacing. You should never push your limits, and if you do, things are going to get worse. That's kind of the thing people get into their minds a lot in the beginning, and it's none of your fault. I think it's even the guidelines, and it can be beneficial in the start to keep strict boundaries, but eventually, probably if you're watching this video, you already come to a place where that's not working. You can't restrict your boundaries your whole life, and even that is not working for most of us. So you should work with the fear around the symptoms, and you should try to drop the resistance to feeling the symptoms. That's also a big part of what you get learned, or what you try to work with in brain retraining, where you just try to see the symptoms as sensations with no labels, no negative thing, and you try to say to yourself, it's okay. You try to just feel it completely without any negative connotations, and just try to tell your brain that this is okay, I can feel this, this is no danger. And then you stop the vicious cycle. You stop the vicious cycle of feeding the symptoms with fear, which reinforces the idea that the symptoms are bad and should be avoided, which triggers more fear around the symptoms, which triggers more symptoms, which triggers fear, which triggers symptoms. This is one of the explanations, which is well described in the book The Way Out by Alan Gordon, which I forgot to mention in my first video, but was very helpful for me as well. I will link it in the description. So it's essentially a willingness to feel whatever there is, and don't try to escape from it or seek distraction, but just sit with it and feel it completely. And you can tell yourself it's okay when you feel it, or you can send some love. There's like meditation practices like metta, which are focused around this, where you in a compassionate way soothe your symptoms, for example. So this is really the two most important steps, I would say, in the beginning. First, it's changing the belief that you can recover, and then it's changing the belief about the symptoms and their presence, if it's good or bad. Or you don't have to give the label, but first it is usually, we see it as negative when there are symptoms present. And we can shift that to seeing it as an opportunity to work with everything around the symptoms, the fear, the resistance, and just try to offer it compassion and let it be here and completely feel it. And then the brain, after a while, will recognize that these symptoms aren't a danger. They can be felt, and we can drop the whole cycle, and eventually you will get less and less symptoms. So this is really important. I think I can talk a lot more about this. I can go much more in depth, but for now, what I would do, if I would just start, and to keep it a bit concise, is to first work on the first belief. And what would help for me a lot is just watching recovery stories. And you can watch my first video if you want the good resources that help me. And for the second belief shift, what I would recommend for you doing now, if you're starting out, would be to start a regular meditation practice. Like in the periods that I made the most progress, I eventually built up to half an hour meditation in the morning, half an hour in the evening. This was also kind of what Kyle suggested from Life with Kyle, his YouTube channel. And then during the day, whenever things build up, you just take a pause from whatever you're doing, you take a break, and you just sit and feel into what's happening. And, you know, it takes some time to get the hang of this, to get to feel how you do this, when you do this, when to stop, when to gently push over your boundary to kind of bring on these symptoms. When you get this mindset, when you want to bring on symptoms because you can like correct or you can feel them, you want to feel them and correct the experience of your brain seeing it as a danger, that's when you're in a really good place. When you're like, okay, let's handle this business. I'm gonna bring on some symptoms and I gonna feel it fully and just show that it's no danger. But this is not where I would start off with. Probably when you're starting off, you're gonna have symptoms without bringing them on. just by doing regular activities all day, cooking maybe. And then I would just build in a daily practice, morning, evening, set meditation, whatever the conditions, you try to stick to it. And you can start with whatever, but try to build up to half an hour morning, half an hour evening. If you can do longer, it's perfect. But this really helps with two things, I think. One is during the meditation, you calm down the nervous system, which is really beneficial. And you get, over the rest of the day, you get a more clear view of what is happening in your mind. You get more mindful, essentially. You'll see your thought patterns, your beliefs more clearly, especially around, if you focus on it, especially around the symptoms. I mean, you might have some symptoms and you might see very clearly the things that come up when you first encounter a symptom. It's like, oh, I feel something, some heaviness in the chest, maybe a headache, some fatigue, maybe a wired feeling, and then you can eventually you can quite quickly see, like, oh, what's around this? What am I adding to this? It's fear. It's the fear of not having control. Maybe it's you don't want to feel the symptoms. A lot of resistance. So that's the benefits in meditation in this part. I think you can go a lot deeper later on, but for now I would work on those two beliefs, the two belief shifts, and the things that help is watching the recovery stories and getting a daily meditation practice. And also just whenever things are building up, try to sit with it and try not to seek avoidance. And I will later make videos on what is beneficial to do when the symptoms encounter, when you sit with it, certain techniques. But I think for now it's just best to just try to accept them, feel them. As I said in the beginning of this video, and there's lots of good things on Kyle's channel about this, and the books I also said are more into the brain retraining part, but for me Kyle's method resonated the most with me, so you can check that out. Yeah, so good luck. I hope this was of any value, and if it was, let me know, and I'll try to make some more videos that hopefully are valuable to you. Good luck.